Here is the out-of-the-box default settings dialog for Electric Underground. Until release 7.2, it has been impossible to modify this display. This video talks about new functionality to better configure this screen to meet specific utility requirements. A key concept here is that it is now possible to have more than one default screen or profile. Here you can see there are alternate profiles configured. In this case we have three, one for residential underground design, one for commercial underground design, and one for overhead to underground conversions. Let's learn the basic steps to modify the default screens to achieve such a result. To create alternative default screens, you should first be familiar with the aud-config manage command. When you run this command, you can create a complete dump of your entire AUD configuration. For now, I'll export this dump to a folder called sample dump on my desktop. If I look in the sample dump folders now, there are lots and lots of files. But for now, I'm going to drill down to the Settings, Design, Default Profile subfolder, where you'll see a default XML file. I'll start by making a copy of this file, and I'll name the copy Test. Now there are lots of ways to edit an XML file, but for this example, I'll just open it up in Notepad. And right at the top, I'm going to make two simple changes, essentially changing the display name within the XML file from default to test. I'll do it here, and I'll do it here, and then I'll save the file. Back in AUD, I'll use the config manage command, this time to import. Now it's important in this case to only import what I want, so I'm going to uncheck everything, then drill down and check off only the new test.xml profile. Now check out my underground default screen, and you'll see that I can choose either a default option or a new test option. Of course, this test screen looks exactly like the last one, but we'll change that soon. Next, I'll switch back to the test XML file. Let's take a closer look at the XML. The XML has a sections tag, and under that are several sections. This first one says Section Installation Underground, Order 4. Also note the next line says Structures Devices. This obviously corresponds to this section. And underground obviously means it appears on the underground screen. Now as for the order, you can think of the default screen as having two columns. The left column has the odd-numbered items, and the right column has the even-numbered items. If I scroll further down, you can see more underground sections, and each has an order number and a title. So the first thing I'm going to do is a bit of reordering. We already have primary cables and services on the left. I'm going to do two things. First, I'll change the order number for the secondary cable section to 3, so it's going to appear on the left after the primary section. And then I'll change the order number for the services cable section to 5, so it will appear below the secondary section. I'll save this, and now I'll check my work. Note, I'm a big fan of incremental changes. Never go too far before you check and see if your changes actually work. And here's the result in the pull-down. Next, I'm going to take the Structures Devices section and split it into two sections. I'll take the Structures Devices section and select the entire section. I'll click on Copy and then paste it so that there are two copies of the section within the file. Now I'll take the first copy and change the order number to 2 and the title to Underground Structures. Now I'll go down to the entries within this section for Devices, Transformer and Switch, and delete them. Next, I'll update the second copy of the section. First, I'll rename it to Underground Devices. And now I'll delete everything associated with structures, including segment default, the pad, the manhole, the handhold, and the vault defaults. Again, I'll save it and check it in AUD. But wait, there's more. It should be obvious from the previous set of changes that you can remove unwanted items from the list. I'm going to remove handholds from the structures because in this example there are no handholds in use. Now I'm going to do one more thing before we finish. Let's say that for service conduits that only Schedule 40 PVC is used. So in this case, I'm going to add a section to the conduit display for attributes. The attribute will be schedule, and the only value I'll list is 40, representing Schedule 40 conduits. Great. Let's save it and check the entire thing in AUD. So let's look at the final result. You can see that the change made, removing handholds, is done. And what's more, if I go to select a service duct, I can only select now from Schedule 40 items. This new capability should prove especially useful for smaller utilities, because it provides an easy way to configure the default selections to only display what makes sense for their utility without requiring any heavy-duty customization. Rather than making extensive changes to the ribbon to simplify selecting specific components for different types of designs, this feature makes it fast and easy to achieve a customized user interface with less overall work.